History is often forged by ordinary men who demonstrate extraordinary courage. Almost 100 years ago, several such men were brought under one flag, 10th Infantry Division. The British Empire was confronted with a war so grand they called it the World War. To battle the threat that could redraw the boundaries of the empire, men of the 10th Infantry Division sailed and marched to guard the banks of Suez. For this front on the east, an expeditionary force was created. The story that began on the banks of the Suez now truly manifested itself in the form of the 10th Infantry Division, which was part of this expeditionary force. As the war grew to greater proportions, the fate of millions rested in the hands of a few good men, whom the Empire had entrusted with her defense. The choice for any military adventure would not weigh for victory alone, but also for the well-being of soldiers who stood for the Empire. The lines that moved on the map were not mere maneuvers, but the trails of glory drawn by blood. Blood that was once the sweat set aside for the farmland. They had traded the gold of their grains for the grey of the battlefield. They had bartered their wide-open landscape for the cramped trenches and had exchanged brothers by blood for brothers in arms. It was an expensive war, which had cost them their crops, cattle, yields and associations, even their limbs, and ultimately, their lives. For every night that was blood red, there followed a day that was Punjab green. Lightly concealed by the ash of war, instantly recovered by a splash of water. Almost 1.5 million soldiers from the subcontinent participated in this war, and like the rest of them, wherever the men from 10th Division went, they took along their country, even the silhouettes. The love for their land helped them heal the wounds and nurse the pains that came from the battlefield. Memories of their loved ones, anticipations of going back, and instances of happiness were the stories they wanted to tell to their household. and a letter was the window that opened straight into their courtyards, regardless of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Besides letters, this land has received the news in many other forms.
डब गांव के खुशकिस्मत लोगों, नायक मोहम्मद इमरान फौजी के वालिद इशफाक हुसैन ने आकर एक खुसूसी पैगाम दिया है। आज डब गांव का एक शहजादा शहादत के खून से गुसल किए दहशतगर्दों से लड़ता वजीरिस्तान से सुरखरू होके आया है। दुनिया के लिए बहे हुए इस खून की कदर करेंगे। इन्ना लिल्लाहि व इन्ना इलैहि राजिऊन।
The tradition of sacrifice is so well ingrained in all those who dwell in this land that they take the message with an exceptional pride. The grief that could blind anyone binds them all. Oblivious to any indifference of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. They do know what it takes to make the day. The farewell that they bid today is but a reenactment of what they did 100 years ago. Hailing from Dabb village, Khudadad Khan was one such soldier from the subcontinent who received the first Victoria Cross from this land. Setting the stage for the story of valor and glory to follow. During World War II, this band of brothers once again charged with unmovable resolve. Commanders like Field Marshal William Slim and soldiers like Yashwant Khadiye added to the chivalry of the 10th Infantry Division. The year of 1947 saw the dream of an independent homeland becoming a reality. Lahore was no stranger to aggression, and as always, it was their first choice. But for the first time, it had men of its own to defend its land. Men from the 10th Infantry Division. Men like Major Raja Aziz Bhatti, who defined valor. Six years later, Lance Naik Mehfooz Shaheed, from the same fraternity, also walked this path and laid down his life in an act of fearless heroism. There are only but a few names among a long list that makes up this 10th Infantry Division. The loyalty and commitment of this division to the land has not altered over an entire century. Although new adversaries have replaced old ones, the courage and determination of these men remains unchanged. Just like 100 years ago, and the years in between, the Tenacious Ten stands ready and firm to continue the story for another 100 years. and beyond.